my little lovelies. In tonight's video, I'm just going to be having a little bit of a whisper ramble, ramble, telling you some of my favourite TV shows and kind of just explaining the plot a little bit. I'm sure most of you will know these TV shows and maybe even seen them, but I just thought it would be quite relaxing to talk to you about them and to tell you why I like them, and you know how they make me feel, when I started watching them, and all of those fun things. So if you've watched any of these, let me know. Or if you haven't seen them but they sound good, let me know in the comments, because I would love if you took one of these and went and watched them. That would be super fun, because we could talk about it in the comments. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. So some of these shows are kind of like a nostalgic shows and some are newer, but what I would say is, once you hear me talk about these shows that I like, you will see that I am very nostalgic heavy. I watch the same shows over and over again. If I find a comfort show, that's it. You know, I'll be watching it for months and years to come. And if you live with me, you just have to put up with that. I must be infuriating, because somebody will come in and I'll have the same show on the TV. I watch it to go to sleep. I'll watch it in the background. I just find a lot of TV shows comforting. But so I'll go over the ones that make me feel that way. So first things first is I want to talk about Friday night dinner. Now, Friday night dinner is one of my all-time favorite TV shows. I love it with a passion. This is one of those ones that I will watch on repeat. I don't even know how many times I've watched the show through. It's not super long, but you know, if I'm feeling unwell, Friday night dinner goes on. So if you don't know, Friday night dinner is a show on channel 444 in the UK. On channel 4 in the UK. Now, channel 4 has a lot of comedy content. It does really well with its comedy TV shows. It also does more serious dramas, but it is really big into comedy. Now, the cast for Friday night dinner is amazing. That's first and foremost why I started watching it. So the plot is about a Jewish family, and it's about the two 20-something-year-old sons who go around for Friday night dinner with their mum and dad every week, and then usually chaos ensues. So the first reason it caught my eye is because of one of the adult children boys. Now so first of all, one of the adult children is played by Simon Bird. Now, Simon Bird, if you don't know, played Will in the UK version of The Inbetweeners, which again is an incredible show. You know, it's very teenage humour, but it is still great. They had a TV show and then they had 2 films, and Bird played Will in The Inbetweeners. So that was right at the time that I was a teenager, or just before I was a teenager, that show was coming out. So, you know, really captured my heart, it captured my attention, and I've never gotten over it since. It's still great. So when I saw Simon Bird was going to be in another Channel 4 drama, see, the thing is The Inbetweeners was a Channel 4 comedy drama. So when I saw that Simon Bird was going to be in this show, that immediately caught my attention, and the rest of the cast is great. As well. So the mum is played by Tamsin Gregg, who is fabulous, and the dad, who, I'm sorry to say, huge fan of the show, so it really made me quite emotional when I learned that they had stopped filming the show at the time. You know, it wasn't like it was halfway through the show or anything, but you know, so the dad, who was an amazing character, he has sadly passed away, but he is fantastic in it. And then there is the brother, and then there is the next door neighbour, Jim. Oh, the concept is that these two boys go around for Friday night dinner every week with their mum and dad, and chaos usually ensues. As soon as the boys get home, they start acting like children. They, you know, it's like they regressed how they were when they were kids. They're doing pranks on each other, they're putting like salt in each other's drinks, and it's just all about like the family dynamics. The mum and dad's dynamics really funny. The dad, he has some really funny quirky character traits. You know, he's always too hot, so he's always got his top off in the most funny way, and he has like hearing difficulties, so he has a hearing aid, but he plays on that, whereas so like he pretends he can't hear if someone's asking him to do something. And then they have their neighbour Jim, who I mentioned. Now he is just like, even though the whole show is comedy, he's the extra comedy relief on top. He's kind of like the wacky neighbour next door who's always coming round, even though he knows that they're always trying to eat dinner, and he comes round with the most silly of excuses, and he kind of like has a crush on the mom, you know, on the family's mom, so you know that he's always finding excuses to come round, and he can always remember Jackie's name, that's the mom's name, but he can never remember the other people's names. He gets the two boys mixed up, Johnny and Adam. He calls them the wrong name constantly, even though he's known them for years, and he always says, "Oh, hi Jackie, it's nice to see you." Oh, and the others, like, "I'm only here because Jackie's here," kind of thing. Like he forgets that the other people are there. So he's very, very funny, and as the show goes on, he gets more and more ridiculous. Like his character just becomes like a caricature by the end of it, but it really doesn't matter because it is just such comedy relief. And he has this pet dog, this gorgeous pet dog called Wilson, that he absolutely adores. He doesn't go anywhere without this dog. But the really funny thing is that he is scared to death of this dog. This dog petrifies him. Like he'll go to stroke his own dog and he'll go like this, like, but the dog's just sat there doing absolutely nothing. But he goes everywhere with this dog. Him and his dog are best buds, but yeah, he's like scared of his own dog, even though there's no reason to be. And each week it's just how those adventures unfold, and you know, some of the storylines are just so funny. Yeah, so it's a really, really good show. It's light, it's entertaining. It's kind of like the same format every week. You know, the boys go round, chaos ensues, yada yada, it goes on from there. But that's kind of why I like it, because I know what I'm going to get, and when I watch TV shows that like I know what I'm going to get, it doesn't make me feel anxious. It gives me like a calming effect. So also when I've seen a TV show before, I'm not like on the edge of my seat. I know what's going to happen. I know it's all going to be fine. So I think that's why I have a real draw to like shows I've seen before and watch them over and over again, because I find that it doesn't give me anxiety. It just kind of like relaxes me. So yes, that's Friday Night Dinner, which is a Channel 4 TV show. Would highly recommend. Very funny, very easygoing. You know, we're not talking about like some amazing like award-winning show here. It's, you know, it's a family and the family drama that goes on, but you know, like low-level drama, nothing serious. Yeah, so I love that. That's really, really good. That's a really, really good show. So the next show I want to talk about is called The Detectorists. The Detectorists, which is a BBC show in the UK, which is our main like television broadcaster that's like government owned, so you have to have like a TV license to watch the BBC in the UK. They don't have any adverts. It's quite unusual. All the other channels in the UK have ads, but any content on the BBC, they have a radio station. They have like channels. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. It's an interesting concept. Like I say, that's different to all of the other channels in the UK. They're all free to watch, but you have adverts on those. So, but yes, the Detectorists. So the Detectorists is about two gentlemen. They are the main people, and they are metal detectorists. They go around using metal detectors in fields looking for items, looking for old items. Gold is their, ambition. But they'll find all sorts of mundane things, and kind of like Friday Night Dinner, this is a very kind of like soft show. It does have some like funny moments. It's a very funny show, like it's a comedy, but it's very beautiful, peaceful. They do like shots of like beautiful scenery, and again, it's one of those things where it's like they're always doing the same thing, out metal detecting. So I think I just kind of like the repetitiveness of things, but don't get me wrong, the show isn't boring. It sounds boring from how I'm describing it, but it really isn't. The two main guys, they're really funny in it, and like they'll have the same conversations every time they go out and about, and they go to their local like detectorist club, and they're this argy-bargy between like who's got permission to detect on which field, and what items have they found that week, and it gets a bit spicy because there's this one field that does another detectorist club who wanted to detect on their field, and there's a bit of like argy-bargy and like spying goes on, like all this drama for these like metal detectorists basically. And the really funny thing is everybody always calls them metal detectors, but metal detectors are the item that they use. Like the metal detector is the item. They are metal detectorists. So whenever somebody says, "Oh, are you a metal detector?" they go detectorists, and it's just really very funny. But yeah, so there is like secret like meetings, and people trying to steal their land, and the whole time you like the viewer, we know that there is some like treasure to be found, because we see in like the opening credits, they do like a shot down into the earth, and we see like this jewel, and they're always like really close to finding it kind of thing, and it's always like will they, won't they, will they, won't they. I'm not going to spoil it for you and say one way or the other, because you might want to go and watch it, but it's a really lovely show. But there is like a bit of drama in it, people, there's like relationships, and there's more to it. There's more to it than just mental detecting, but that is the premise of the show. And it's taking something that's kind of like so peaceful and mundane and making a show about it. It's really unusual. I've never heard of like anything like that before. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. But it's just really, really lovely, beautiful scenery, but with a little bit of like drama and quite a bit of comedy mixed in. So it's just like the perfect balance for me. It's really just the perfect balance for me. But as you can see, I kind of like gentle, easygoing shows when I'm kind of like in that mood. Like, don't get me wrong, I do watch other more like interesting, fast-paced shows. Like I love Grey's Anatomy. Now that is full of drama, as I'm sure you know. I'm sure most people have seen Grey's Anatomy. They're still going. I think it's on season like 22 or so. It's on some ridiculous numbered season. I have watched most of it. I'm like a season behind. But Grey's Anatomy. It's about some young people who go and work in a hospital for the first time. The main girl is called Meredith Grey, kind of where the show gets its name from, and based on the anatomy book. Grey's Anatomy is kind of like a nice play on words, and they are surgical interns. It's a group of people who are the he is my favourite character. I'm not going to go into all the plot of Grey's Anatomy because it is so long and convoluted, and I'm sure most of you have seen it, unlike some of the other shows I might mention, but I just thought I'd let you know that I do like some kind of like fast-paced, harder going shows, but yeah, I don't watch them on repeat quite as much as I watch some of my more gentler shows. Now I'm going to talk about another Channel 4 show. Now that is called Fresh Meat. Now what you will see from the shows I'm telling you is, once I find an actor that I like or a style of show that I like, I will stick to it, and I will stick to it hard. So Fresh Meat is about university students in England. I think they live in Manchester. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they live in Manchester. And it's about a group of young people that didn't get into halls and instead are living in a university house. And it follows this like misfit group of university students as they try to like navigate through university life. Again, it's a comedy, it's a bit of a drama, it's very, very funny. Now, as I mentioned before, the show In-Betweeners, this has another actor in it from the In-Betweeners. It is the person who played Simon in the In-Betweeners. Oh, what's his name? Joe Thomas, yes. Joe Thomas, who played Simon in the In-Betweeners. So another show that's got one of the main four in it from the In-Betweeners. So Joe Thomas, who's great in it, very, very funny. And then it has the comedian in it, Jack Whitehall. Now, most of you might know Jack Whitehall is a stand-up comedian. His most recent stuff is he does shows with his dad now. It's called like Travels with My Father. Different shows like that with his dad. He's very, very famous stand-up comedian, but he was in Fresh Meat. There's multiple seasons of it. He's one of the university students who live there. So there's three boys who live in the house and 3 girls, and it's just basically about their trials and tribulations through university. Obviously there's like romance and, you know, like just all sorts of different friendship dynamics, and again, it's very, very funny. I love that kind of humour. I really love that kind of humour. It just tickles me. And again, it's kind of like not too OTT, and they're all living in a uni house, so it's kind of like that familiar environment all of the time. And you know, it's just one of those shows that really really suits me, and I've watched it so many times. I do fear that I might be kind of getting a bit old for it. You know, I relate to it less and less as I get older. I don't think I will ever stop watching it. It's still a fantastic show, but you know, I'm not a university student, and you know, it's harder to relate now, you know, but it's still just a fantastic show, and it's so worth a watch. It's very funny. The dynamics between the characters is what it's all about, you know. That's my favourite kind of show, where it's all about like an intimate group and the dynamics between them. I just love that, rather than kind of like all excess drama or like governments getting involved, or you know, like all outside noise. I really like an enclosed environment, and just seeing like the characters' dynamics, that's really up my street. I really like that. So yeah, Fresh Meat on Channel 4. I really like that. Yeah, so as you can see, Channel 4 really does well with these kind of shows. If you like that kind of thing, I'd suggest checking them out. They all give you the same kind of feeling. It's all the same kind of comedy, just elevated in different ways. You know, like Fresh Meat is more elevated than The In-Betweeners. The In-Betweeners is about high school kids, whereas Fresh Meat is about university students. So you know, it is that little bit higher. And then Friday Night Dinner is about a family, so that's even different, even still. But you know, it's if you like one, I think you'll probably like the others. Now, a more like a common show I wanted to talk about is The Office. The Office. I just absolutely love The Office. Now, if you didn't know, if you're in America, there was the UK version of The Office first with Ricky Gervais. He was like the main boss, and obviously there's the American version with Michael Scott as the main boss. The English one is so much more cringy than the American one. It's harder to watch. I normally don't often say this, sorry America, but I normally prefer like the British version of things, obviously because I'm British, so I just lean more to that sense of humour. But the American one is so good, and obviously it's so much longer with the British one. The worst thing about British TV shows is we do such short like seasons and like runs of things. Like a season over here could be like 6 episodes, and we might have like 3 or 4 seasons, and that's it, like that's the show done. Whereas obviously like in America, if you're there, obviously you know, and most people know that America, you know, you have like 20 episode seasons, 20 episode runs, and you might have like 15 seasons of a show. I mean, look at Grey's Anatomy, we're talking about like 20 episodes a season, 20 seasons, whereas that is just unheard of in the UK. Yeah, so it's really sad in the UK. You get really into a show and then it just finishes, so you end up having to watch that over and over again. So that's why I'm really quite used to rewatching things, because you know, to rewatch Grey's Anatomy takes ages, but to rewatch Friday Night Dinner, I could do that so much quicker. So yeah, but the American Office, oh, I just love it. But again, that's kind of like a situational comedy where they're in one environment. It's quite like repetitive, and it's all just about the dynamics between the people. You know, I really just love those kind of shows, and just seeing like people's slow progression, like how it would be in real life. I really love it. And as the show goes on, we get to delve deeper into people's personalities. You know, at the beginning it's obviously very Jim and Pam heavy. Will they, won't they? You know, we didn't, in the first episode you don't actually know that Pam's engaged to Roy, that kind of thing. Like, I love all of that, exploring their relationships. But as the show goes on, it can't just focus on that the whole time. And you know, they do delve into like the side characters' personalities, so they don't end up as side characters. They're just as important to the show. For example, Phyllis and Stanley and Angela, at the beginning they're just kind of there, you know, they play their part, but as the show goes on, you really find out so much more about them and all their little idiosyncrasies and their personalities and the secrets that they have in the mundane office environment. Yeah, so I really love that. And obviously Michael Scott is just one of the funniest. I can't even say how funny he is. It's the humour that they write is just laugh out loud funny, like belly laugh funny. Some of his scenes, honestly, just really like laugh out loud humour in the mix of the mundanity. That's what I think elevates his humour to the next level, is he's in such like a flat environment and his personality is just takes over that whole. It's just a 10 out of 10 show. So yeah, so there is some of my top TV shows. As you can see, most of them quite calm, nothing too like out there. But yeah, and in The Office, again, that's something I watch over and over again. But if I'm rewatching The Office, I know it's going to take me a very long time because there's so much of it, which is great. So yeah, so I haven't rewatched that as many times as some of my other shows just because it is so long. I decide I'm going to rewatch it, and like months later I'm still rewatching it, so you know. But yeah, it's amazing. Oh, Michael and Jan, oh, just so funny. Anyway, that's all I've got for this evening. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, I would love it if you would hit the like button, and if you really liked it, you could hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much to me.